Peppa Pig, Peppa's Spooky Halloween. It was Halloween, and Peppa and George were at Granny and Grandpa Pig's house.
"Please, can we only do spooky things today, Granny?"
asked Peppa.
"Yes, of course,"
replied Granny Pig.
"Most definitely,"
added Grandpa. Grandpa Pig loves Halloween.
"Shall we bake some spooky treats?"
said Granny Pig.
"Yes, please,"
cheered Peppa and George.
"Don't these cakes look yummy?"
said Grandpa Pig.
"They're not yummy, Grandpa,"
said Peppa.
"They're spooky." "Oh, yes, very spooky."
Grandpa grinned.
"Your house isn't very spooky, Grandpa,"
said Peppa.
"It isn't at the moment,"
said Grandpa Pig, showing Peppa a great big box.
"But let's see what we can do with these decorations." "Wow," gasped Peppa, "you have so many Halloween decorations." "Yes," said Grandpa, "we've collected a lot over the years."
After they had made the house spooky, Peppa and George wanted to make themselves spooky too. They looked in Granny and Grandpa Pig's dressing box.
"Monster! Roar!"
shouted George, putting on a funny monster costume.
"Look at me!"
cackled Peppa, who was dressed as a witch.
"And I am the spooky vampire!"
said Grandpa in his best vampire voice.
"Let's try on all the spooky costumes,"
said Peppa excitedly.
"Mommy!"
shouted George, dressing up as a mummy and falling over his bandages.
"Meow,"
purred Peppa, looking just like a witch's cat.
"Ticka ticka,"
said George, tickling Grandpa Pig with one of his 8 furry spider legs.
"I'm rattling my bones,"
said Peppa, shaking her arms and legs in a skeleton costume. Dressing up in spooky costumes was lots of fun, especially when Peppa and George both dressed up as ghosts.
"Boo!"
shouted Peppa, jumping in front of Granny Pig.
"Oh, you scared me, Ghost George,"
said Granny Pig.
"No, I'm Ghost Peppa, Granny. That's Ghost George over there,"
said Peppa, pointing and giggling. Peppa and George decided to change one more time. George liked the skeleton costume the best, but Peppa had something else in mind.
"Look at me," said Peppa. "I'm a magical Halloween unicorn."
"Well, we can't have Halloween without a magical Halloween unicorn, can we?" laughed Grandpa Pig. Granny and Grandpa Pig gave Peppa and George a big round of applause.
"You're both so spooky,"
said Granny Pig.
"What spooky thing can we do next?"
asked Peppa.
"Why don't you put on a spooky show?"
suggested Grandpa Pig.
"Yes!" cried Peppa. "We can invite Mummy and Daddy and our friends to watch it." "That sounds like a lot of fun,"
said Granny Pig.
"Spooky fun!"
asked Peppa.
"Oh yes, of course, Peppa. Spooky fun,"
said Granny Pig, laughing. Later that afternoon, Mammy and Daddy Pig arrived at Granny and Grandpa Pig's house.
"Wow, Granny and Grandpa Pig have gone all out this year,"
said Mummy Pig as she knocked on the door. The door creaked open and there stood Grandpa Pig in his costume. "Welcome to the spooky house," he said. "I trust you have come to watch this evening's performance of the spooky show." Yes," replied Daddy Pig, a little confused. Once all their friends had arrived,
"It's time for the spooky show," announced Peppa. "We hope you find it spooky,"
cried George. Everyone in the audience clapped and cheered excitedly. Peppa and George took it in turns to dress up in the spooky costumes, jump in front of the audience and shout, "Boo!" George was a monster, and Mummy, and a furry spider, and Peppa was a black cat, a ghost, a rattly skeleton, and a cackling witch.
"Ooh,"
Gasped their friends, giggling.
"so spooky."
At the end of the show, Peppa and George jumped out in their favourite costumes.
"I'm the magical Halloween unicorn, and this is Skeleton George,"
Peppa cried.
"We hope you enjoyed our show."
Peppa and George bowed as the audience clapped.
"Ooh,"
Cheered Danny Dog in his werewolf costume. "What a fantastic show," said Vampire Grandpa Pig, patting Peppa and George on the back. "Well done."
"Now then, everyone," said Granny Pig, "it's time for some spooky dancing."
Hooray! Everybody cheered, jumping up to dance to the funny, spooky music.
"Did you have a fun day at Granny and Grandpa's house?"
Mummy Pig asked Peppa and George on their way home.
"No, Mummy, it wasn't fun," replied Peppa. "It was spooktacular."
Peppa and George love Halloween. Everyone loves Halloween. The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa's summer holiday. Peppa was at playgroup and she was feeling very excited.
"I'm going on a summer holiday,"
She cried.
"Me too,"
Shouted all of Peppa's friends.
"I'm going to swim in a swimming pool."
Cried Peppa.
"Me too,"
Shouted all Peppa's friends. Everyone was going on a summer holiday and everyone was going to swim in a swimming pool. After playgroup, Peppa and George packed their holiday bags.
"Please, could you help me pack my flamingo, Daddy?"
asked Peppa. Of course, said Daddy Pig, trying to squeeze Peppa's inflatable flamingo into her bag. Why don't we deflate it first? Said Mummy Pig. Great idea, Mummy Pig, said Daddy Pig. Peppa, George, Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig put their bags in the car and headed to the airport.
"We're going on holiday, we're going on holiday,"
sang Peppa over and over again. It seems like everyone's going on holiday, said Daddy Pig. Just look at all this traffic. Peppa and her family made it to the airport just in time. They quickly showed their passports to Miss Rabbit and then put their bags through the scanning machine.
"Yippee!"
Cheered Peppa and George when they boarded the aeroplane. Phew, we made it, said Mummy Pig, as everyone put on their seatbelts. When they arrived at the hotel, everyone was very excited. Look at the blue sea, gasped Daddy Pig. Look at the palm trees, said Mummy Pig.
Look at the swimming pool,
said Peppa. Let's find our room, said Mummy Pig.
Then we can go swimming.
Hooray! Cheered Peppa and George. After they had unpacked their bags in their room, Peppa, George and Daddy Pig jumped straight into the swimming pool. Meanwhile, Mummy Pig relaxed in the sunshine with an ice-cold smoothie. Peppa and George found Emily and Edmund Elephant splashing about in the water.
What are you doing here, Emily?
said Peppa.
I'm on holiday, said Emily. What are you doing here?
Peppa giggled.
I'm on holiday too. Dinosaur!
Splash! cried George, splashing Edmund. The swimming pool was lots of fun. Soon, Miss Rabbit arrived at the pool and made an announcement.
Attention, please! This afternoon's holiday activity is a visit to the turtle sanctuary.
Ooh! gasped the children.
If turtle hatchlings are being released into the sea today, we may be able to watch it from a distance,
said Miss Rabbit. On the turtle trip, Peppa and Emily saw Rebecca and Richard Rabbit.
What are you doing here, Rebecca?
said Peppa.
I'm on holiday,
replied Rebecca.
What are you doing here?
I'm on holiday too, said Peppa. Peppa, Emily and Rebecca loved watching the baby turtles going for their first swim in the sea.
Can we go to the pool with Rebecca now, Mummy?
said Peppa. Of course, said Mummy Pig. The next day, Peppa and George went straight to the pool.
Susie, Zoe,
cried Peppa.
What are you doing here?
We're on holiday, replied Susie Sheep and Zoe Zebra. Miss Rabbit announced that the next activity would be a jungle walk to find sloths.
Ew,
gasped the children. Peppa was very good at spotting sloths, and she also spotted the giraffe family. It was very hot in the jungle.
Please, can we go back to the swimming pool now, Mummy?
said Peppa. Of course, replied Mummy Pig. It'll be nice to cool off in the pool. After the jungle trip, everyone jumped into the pool.
Our last holiday activity is a dance competition, said Miss Rabbit, in the swimming pool.
Peppa was very excited and started to dance.
Look at me, I'm doing a flamingo dance,
she cried. The children laughed and copied Peppa's funny flamingo dance. Soon everyone was doing Peppa's funny flamingo dance, even the grown-ups. Miss Rabbit picked up her megaphone.
And the winning dance is Peppa's flamingo dance! Hooray!
Everyone cheered. Everyone had enjoyed their holiday, but it was time to go home. Once everyone was on the airplane, Miss Rabbit announced,
I'm afraid takeoff has been delayed.
Can we go to the swimming pool? asked Peppa. Mummy Pig frowned. I'm afraid not, Peppa. You could do the flamingo dance, though, suggested Daddy Pig.
Yes,
cried Peppa, and she started to dance. Soon, everyone on the airplane was doing Peppa's flamingo dance right up until it was time for takeoff. Everyone loved their summer holiday, and everyone loved Peppa's flamingo dance. The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa's super noisy sound book. It is a very rainy day. Peppa and George are in their house. We are going to have a quiet day inside, says Mummy Pig.
aww,
Sighs Peppa and George, disappointed. Peppa and George love going outside to play. Ho ho. Cheer up, you two, smiles Daddy Pig. You can help me mend the kitchen cupboard.
Kitchen cupboards are boring,
says Peppa.
I don't like the rain,
giggles George. Just then, the telephone rings. It's Mrs. Rabbit, Rebecca Rabbit's mummy. Can Rebecca and Richard come to play? She asks. Of course, says Mummy Pig. Yippee! Cheers Peppa. Rebecca and Richard Rabbit arrive. Richard has brought his brand new toy car. Vroom, vroom, squeaks Richard. And George has his toy, Mr. Dinosaur.
Dinosaur!
Growls George. Peppa and George get out their musical toys and make lots and lots of noise. Laughs Peppa, very proud of herself. Hooray! Cheer Richard and Rebecca. Now Susie Sheep has arrived and Mummy Pig has made lunch for everyone. Gobble gobble, delicious, everyone cries. Burp, burps Peppa.
Excuse me.
It's stopped raining, says Mummy Pig. Let's take the leftover bread and feed the ducks.
Squeak, squeak,
Queers Rebecca Rabbit.
shall we give them carrots?
Rebecca Rabbit likes carrots. I think the ducks would prefer bread, smiles Mummy Pig.
Quack.
Says George, jumping up and down. Peppa, George, says Mummy Pig, let Daddy put on your rain boots first. Yes, George, says Peppa. If you jump in muddy puddles, you must wear your boots. We're going to see the ducks. We're going to see the ducks, sings Peppa. George, Susie, Rebecca and Richard all join in very loudly. Ho ho, laughs Daddy Pig. What a lovely song, but you don't have to sing it quite so loudly.
Hello, Mrs. Duck,
Cries Peppa, throwing some crumbs.
I hope you're hungry.
It's Richard Rabbit's first time feeding the ducks, and he's a bit scared.
Don't be scared, Richard, says Peppa. They won't hurt you. Watch me.
Peppa shows Richard how to feed the ducks.
Wah, 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 wah.
Shouts Richard.
Dinosaur!
Shouts George.
Arr!
Silly George, laughs Peppa. You always say dinosaur for everything.
Why don't you find some muddy puddles to jump in? Says Mummy Pig. Yippee! Peppa shouts. Splish splash. Everyone is having a wonderful noisy time jumping and splashing. Here is Danny Dog and his mummy. Danny jumps in a great big puddle. Squelch! Oops! He splashed Daddy Pig's glasses.
Oh dear, says Peppa. Now Daddy will be grumpy.
I am not grumpy, snorts Daddy Pig. How about a nice quiet game of hide and seek? Suggests Mummy Pig.
Yippee, shouts Peppa. I'm brilliant at seeking.
Everyone hides while Peppa covers her eyes and counts to 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. George isn't very good at hiding. He stands by a tree with his eyes closed. Peppa thinks this is very funny and decides to surprise him. Very quietly, she creeps up behind him. Grunts Peppa loudly. Oh dear! George is very surprised and drops Mr. Dinosaur into a muddy puddle.
Wah.
George starts to cry.
Peppa, have you been teasing George?
Says Mummy Pig.
Sorry, George,
Says Peppa. All the parents have come to collect the children. It is time to go home.
Goodbye, everyone.
Cheers, Peppa. Everybody waves goodbye. Ho ho, chuckles Daddy Pig. Peace at last. It's time for Peppa and George to go to bed. First, they brush their teeth. Scrub, scrub. Now let's have a nice, quiet bedtime story, says Mummy Pig. What shall we read? Asked Daddy Pig.
Can we have one all about music?
Peppa asks. I love music. Daddy Pig begins the bedtime story. It's about two very noisy piggies playing very noisy musical instruments. Peppa, George, and even Mr. Dinosaur join in all the actions. Roar, roar, growls George. Laughs Peppa. Peppa and George are a little bit sleepy. George starts to fall asleep first.
That wasn't a very quiet day,
Giggles Peppa, yawning. No, it was a very noisy day, Peppa, replies Daddy Pig, smiling. But Peppa is already fast asleep. The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa's Christmas Wish. It is Christmas Eve, and Peppa, George, and their friends are aboard the Christmas elf train. They are on their way to Santa's grotto. Everyone is very excited. Ho, 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 chuckles Santa. I hope you've all been good. He makes a list of what everyone would like for Christmas. George would like a racing car. Peppa would like a doll. Peppa and her family are spending Christmas with Granny and Grandpa Pig. Granny Pig has an important job for them. You can stir the Christmas pudding and don't forget to make a wish. It is great fun. Soon it is bedtime.
I hope Santa knows where Granny and Grandpa live,
whispers Peppa before she falls asleep. Of course, smiles Mummy Pig. He's been here lots of times before. It is lunchtime on Christmas Day. This Christmas pudding is delicious, snorts Mummy Pig. I wonder what you've wished for when you were stirring it, Peppa. It is time to open the presents. George has got a racing car. But there's nothing under the tree for Peppa,
Santa has forgotten me,
says Peppa sadly. Santa is on his way home in his sleigh when he spots something at the bottom of his sack. Oh, gasps Santa. There is one last present that he hasn't delivered yet. Here's your present, Peppa, chuckles Santa, tumbling down the chimney. Peppa is very happy.
My Christmas pudding wish has come true, she giggles. I wish that Santa would visit us on Christmas Day, and he has. Hooray for Santa!
Ho, 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 ho! Merry Christmas! The end.
Hi kids, did you have fun watching this video? Then like and subscribe for more.
Peppa Pig, Peppa's theatre trip. It is an exciting day at playgroup. Madame Gazelle is taking the children on a special trip to see a play at the theatre. All aboard, calls Miss Rabbit from the school bus. Yippee, cheer Peppa and her friends. They climb on the bus and fasten their seatbelts.
Wow, gasped Peppa. I wonder what play we are going to see.
It's a surprise, Madame Gazelle replies, handing out the tickets. Look after these and you'll soon find out. Oh! Cry the children as they all hold tightly onto their tickets. The children walk up to the grand entrance of the theatre. Tickets, please, says Miss Rabbit, checking each one. If you would like a programme, you can line up over there.
What's a programme?
asked Peppa. It's a little book that tells you about the play, explains Madame Gazelle. When Miss Rabbit finishes checking tickets, she sets up her programme stall. The children line up to receive a copy. Miss Rabbit hands Peppa a programme.
Look,
says Peppa, flicking through it.
There's a picture of my mummy and daddy.
Madame Gazelle leads the children into the theatre to find their seats. This is where the play will be performed, she says, pointing to the stage. Now we must all be quiet and wait for it to begin.
Okay,
whispers Peppa, putting her finger to her lips. Suddenly, the lights go out, the curtains open, and Miss Rabbit magically appears on stage. Welcome to our performance of a musical extravaganza, she announces. I would like to introduce you to our fine actors. Just then, the stage lights come on to reveal
my mummy and daddy,
cheers Peppa.
And mine,
cheer the children excitedly. All their parents are in the play. The show is about to start, says Miss Rabbit. The children watch the show. There is singing, dancing and acting. Everyone has lots of different parts, and Daddy Pig plays the drums in nearly all the right places. Bang, crash, badoom. It is a great play. The stage curtains go down.
Is that the end?
Peppa asks.
Oh no,
whispers Madame Gazelle.
This is just the interval. It is a bit like snack time. The play stops for a few minutes and you can all buy an ice cream from Miss Rabbit's ice cream stand.
Ooh, gasp the children, lining up quickly. After their yummy ice creams, Peppa and her friends sit back down in their seats to watch the end of the play.
Ta-da!
Announces Daddy Pig proudly after one final well-timed bang on the drum. He takes a bow as the audience claps very loudly. Miss Rabbit invites the playgroup children onto the stage to meet the stars of the play.
Mummy, Daddy, you were amazing,
cheers Peppa. Oh, laughs Daddy Pig. You enjoyed it then?
Oh yes,
says Peppa.
Oh yes,
say all Peppa's friends. Everyone loves going to the theatre. We love the theatre. Oh yes we do. The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa's talent show. Peppa and George are going to a talent show. They can't wait. Have you got everything? Asked Mummy Pig.
Nearly, says Peppa. I just need to put on my boots.
George nods. He is bringing his xylophone. The theatre is very busy. Everyone has come to watch the talent show. Daddy Pig opens the door. Listen, I can hear music.
Hurry, Daddy, says Peppa. We don't want to miss the start.
Daddy Pig finds their tickets. Then they all sit down. Miss Rabbit steps out onto the stage. Hello, she says, shaking her tambourine.
Wow.
Are you ready to sing, dance and have some fun? A talent is something you like doing and are good at, says Miss Rabbit. Our first talented performer is Madame Gazelle.
Madame Gazelle plays her electric guitar. It is very noisy.
Thank you, everyone,
she says. It's Pedro Pony's turn next. He is dressed as a magician.
Wow.
I'm going to use magic to make Danny disappear,
he says.
Please close your eyes.
Ooh, say Peppa and her friends, closing their eyes. Pedro quickly puts a blanket over Danny Dog's head. He waves his wand.
Now open your eyes, says Pedro. Danny has disappeared.
Freddy Fox leaps up.
But I can see his feet,
he shouts. Everybody gasps. Danny is hiding underneath the blanket.
Wasn't that fun?
Says Miss Rabbit.
Now let's have a big cheer for Mr. Bull, Freddy Fox and Zoe Zebra.
Zoe plays the maracas. Mr. Bull blows into a big brass instrument.
What's that?
Gasps Peppa. It's called a tuba, whispers Mummy Pig. Zoe and Mr. Bull play on.
Wow.
Freddy smiles and waves.
What's Freddy's talent?
Asks Peppa. Mummy Pig isn't sure. Freddy lifts up a silver triangle. At the end of the song, he hits it. Everybody claps. Well done, Freddy. Susie Sheep comes on next.
That's my best friend,
Shouts Peppa.
My talent is blowing bubbles.
Says Susie.
Wow.
She dips a stick into some bubble mixture and blows. A big bubble appears. The audience gasps.
Thank you, Susie, says Miss Rabbit. And now for someone with a sporty talent. That's me,
Cries Mandy Mouse. She bounces a basketball up and down the stage. Mandy finishes bouncing and the audience gives her a big clap. Daddy Pig stands up. Follow me, George, he whispers. You're on next.
Good luck,
Says Peppa.
Hello again, says Miss Rabbit. It's time to introduce our youngest performer, George.
Peppa and Mummy Pig get ready to cheer.
Oh,
Cries Peppa.
where is he?
Everyone gasps. The stage is empty. George is hiding behind the curtain. He is feeling a little bit shy. Would you like me to go first? Asked Daddy Pig. George nods. Daddy Pig goes on stage. He plays the drums. George loves Daddy Pig's drumming. He comes out with his xylophone. The audience cheers. Hooray! George starts to play along with Daddy Pig. Well done, George, cries Peppa. Daddy Pig finishes his song, but George keeps on playing. Time to come off now, says Daddy Pig, picking him up. Wah! Cries George. The audience claps. Thank you, George and Daddy Pig, says Miss Rabbit. Wendy Wolf is ready for her turn. My talent is howling, she says proudly.
Wow.
Ow! Ooh, say Peppa and her friends. Everybody in the theatre claps loudly. What an unusual talent. It's Grampy Rabbit's turn. His talent is telling jokes.
Wow.
Peppa and George giggle and giggle. You're next, Granny Pig, says Miss Rabbit. Don't forget your special guest. Granny Pig carries a bird onto the stage. Peppa gasps, It's Granny's parrot, Polly. Polly is very clever, says Granny Pig. Say hello, Polly. Oh dear, Polly doesn't want to say hello. She cries. Then she flies across the theatre and out of the door. The audience gasps. Quick, shouts Miss Rabbit. Follow that parrot. Everyone rushes out of the theatre. There's Polly, cries Daddy Pig, next to that big muddy puddle. Granny Pig carefully puts Polly back into her cage, ready to take her home. I think that's the end of the talent show, says Miss Rabbit.
Wow.
But no one's seen my talent yet, cries Peppa. Can you show us out here? asks Miss Rabbit. Yes, says Peppa, nodding. Then she jumps into the muddy puddle. Splash! What a super splashy show! Cheers Miss Rabbit. Well done, Peppa.
Hooray!
Peppa loves talent shows. Everyone loves talent shows. The end. Peppa and Family. Peppa loves her family. Sometimes they all meet up for a picnic. Mummy and Daddy Pig bring the sandwiches. Granny and Grandpa Pig bring the cakes. Uncle and Auntie Pig bring the fruit.
Hooray!
Peppa, calls Cousin Chloe, sit next to me. Peppa skips across the grass. Yay! George is Peppa's little brother. He likes dinosaurs, puddles, and tickles. On wet days, Peppa and George put on their boots and go outside.
Wow.
There's a puddle, says Peppa. Let's jump in it. George giggles. George loves splashing in puddles with his big sister Peppa. Mummy Pig is a clever, busy mummy. Sometimes she works quietly on her computer. Sometimes she enjoys going to noisy birthday parties with Peppa and George. Whee! Shouts Mummy Pig. This is fun! Good bouncing, Mummy, says Peppa. Daddy Pig is a cheerful, kind daddy. He likes watching racing cars on TV. On Father's Day, Peppa and George make a special card for Daddy Pig. Oh, he gasps, what a lot of glitter. The card has made Daddy Pig all sparkly.
It says that you are the bestest daddy in the whole world,
cheers Peppa.
Hooray!
Granny Pig enjoys cooking and baking. She loves making tasty things for Peppa and George to eat.
Let's pick some strawberries,
says Granny Pig.
We can put them in a cake.
Hooray!
Can we help you make it?
asks Peppa. Granny Pig laughs. Of course! Peppa fills up her basket. She loves visiting the strawberry farm with Granny Pig. Grandpa Pig has lots of hobbies.
Wow!
He likes gardening, boating, and bird watching.
Every time we see a bird, I put a tick in my book,
says Grandpa Pig.
Bird!
Cries George.
Well done, George, says Peppa. That's a pigeon.
Grandpa Pig fills his book with ticks. George has spotted lots of pigeons. Uncle and Auntie Pig live far away. Peppa likes to visit for sleepovers.
Hello, Peppa,
says Auntie Pig.
Hello, George.
Come in, says Uncle Pig. You must be tired after your long journey. We are, replies Mummy Pig.
I'm not tired at all,
says Peppa, running inside to see her cousins. Cousin Chloe and baby Alexander are Peppa's favourite cousins. Cousin Chloe is big and grown up. Baby Alexander is still very small.
It's baby Alexander's bath time,
says Cousin Chloe.
Do you want to help, Peppa?
Yes, please, says Peppa. Baby Alexander laughs. He likes splashing about in the water. Peppa loves her family. Everyone loves Peppa. The end. Peppa Pig and the Family Reunion. Peppa and George are very excited. Today the pig family is having a reunion.
Wow!
Everyone in the family will be there.
You've brought pie,
says Peppa.
I love pie.
Says George. Uncle Pig and Auntie Pig unpack the car. They have brought a lot of stuff for the baby. Daddy Pig helps Uncle Pig unload a high chair, some baby toys, a stroller, and even a bathtub. Peppa likes baby Alexander. Would you like to help feed the baby? asks Auntie Pig.
Oh, yes,
says Peppa. She tries to feed baby Alexander. He turns away. Peppa tries again. The baby won't open his mouth.
Oh no!
Try playing an airplane, says Auntie Pig. She shows Peppa how to fly the spoon into baby Alexander's mouth. It works.
Can you say airplane?
asks Peppa. Baby Alexander can't talk yet. Peppa wants to teach baby Alexander to talk.
Can you say dinosaur?
says baby Alexander. Later that night, it's time to put baby Alexander to bed. But he doesn't sleep for long.
What's
What's that noise?
asked Peppa. Baby Alexander is awake.
No, what's that other noise? That's the vacuum cleaner,
says Chloe. Why are you vacuuming at night? asked Daddy Pig. And why is Auntie Pig playing a trumpet? Loud noises are the best way to get baby Alexander to sleep, shouts Uncle Pig. We are a very noisy family. It is a very noisy night. After breakfast the next morning, everyone goes for a walk. Peppa tries to teach baby Alexander a new word.
Look, a bird,
says Peppa. Caw, caw, says baby Alexander.
Sky,
says Peppa.
Caw, caw,
says baby Alexander. Then it's time for the family reunion lunch. They are having Peppa's favourite, spaghetti. Daddy Pig and Uncle Pig love spaghetti too. Both of them ask for more. For dessert, everyone has a piece of Granny Pig's pie.
Hooray!
yum,
Peppa says to baby Alexander.
caw, caw,
says baby Alexander. Chloe has brought her puppet theatre, and she and Peppa and George put on a puppet show.
Wow!
They make a Chloe puppet, a Peppa puppet, and a dinosaur puppet for George. Everyone claps after the puppet show. Well, almost everyone. Daddy Pig and Uncle Pig have fallen asleep. Peppa and Chloe go outside to play before the reunion is over. Baby Alexander likes to watch them play in the mud.
look, baby Alexander,
Says Peppa.
we're jumping up and down in muddy puddles.
And then it happens. Baby Alexander says his first word.
Puddles.
Well done, baby Alexander. Well done, Peppa. The end.
Hi kids, did you have fun watching this video? Then like and subscribe for more.